Okay, so I came on Twitter today, and all of a sudden I see Tim Pool is going off talking about draw up a lease for your daughter from the time you acquire the house, have the daughter call the cops, squatters, and I see this tweet, this post breaking: a woman gets arrested for removing squatters out of her $1 million house in Queens, New York. What is going on?
You be trying to steal my house. Yes, you are.
How about that?
So we're going to get into the story. I want you guys to see the $1 million house in New York. $1 million. New York is out of line with the inflation. We're going to go ahead and get into this story. But apparently Adele Andaloro inherited her family's home in Flushing, Queens after her parents passed away and was in the process of selling it when she noticed that someone illegally moved in. After she changed the lock, the squatters came back and the police arrested her, according to the New York landlord-tenant law. In New York, it's against the law to turn off the utilities, change the locks, and remove the belongings of someone who claims to be the tenant. So all they have to do is say that they're the tenant, and then you can't get this illegal person. Yes, because you entered my house illegally. I don't understand why that makes people feel weird. You know, that's a stranger. But you can't get rid of them if they're there. So now you have a perfect stranger in the house living there rent-free. Rent-free. This is absolutely insane. We're going to go ahead and get into it. Please, guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you.
Our home in Queens, and our cameras were rolling as dozens of officers showed up.
Several people were taken away in handcuffs, and one of those arrested may surprise.
We need the police right away.
With multiple 911 calls and arrests, we have to start at the beginning.
Adele, the hardest question is, how do you say your name?
We met Adele Andaloro outside the home her parents left her in Flushing, Queens. She's in the process of selling it.
No, he locked it.
But she's been locked out. She claims squatters moved in on February 6th and refused to leave.
What's it like being here knowing you can't go inside of your own home?
It's enraging. It really is.
In New York, squatters have rights after 30 days.
By the time that someone does their investigation and they do their work and their job, we'll be well over the 30 days, and this man will have stolen my home. And now she's
basically what we have in New York going on is that people can just, this is almost a a landlord takeover, you know, this whole bit, like, and it's not even a landlord takeover, because she's like, I'm not the landlord because he's not supposed to be here. This is just simply my house, and there's an intruder in my house, right? But this is a property owner takeover. That's what it is. All right, guys. So we need to look at things for what they are. What does this do to the property owners, that random people can run up in your property and live there, and now you can't get rid of them? And so now they end up having more rights than you. We have to pay attention to what's going on in this world, because this is crazy. It's more than crazy. It's dangerous. And it is communistic. I mean, there's no other word for it.
back.
Just after wrapping up our interview, a woman showed up.
What are you doing in the house? Are you renting this house? Why are you here?
She unlocked the front door, saw our cameras, and took off.
Shirt dirty as ever. This girl, just, I mean, what's going on in that house too?
It's open. Let's go in the house. It's open.
Adele and her daughter, with the property deed in hand, went inside.
This is my furniture. These are my curtains.
She
could have walked into anything. She could have literally walked into anything going on in that house. Mind you, this is $1 million. $1 million home. I'm not busting on her home, but New York's inflation is out of this world.
Just find her belongings inside.
There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
What if that man would have had a weapon? This is an absolute intruder. She doesn't even know who these people are. It's not even like my cousin won't leave the house.
Found 2 men.
How long have you lived here?
I moved in about 2 days ago.
They've called the police on me, and I've called the locksmith. I didn't come in illegally. The door was open.
Police started interviewing.
The main fact that she has to explain that she didn't come in illegally to her own property is beyond bizarre. Are y'all paying attention?
Neighbors and looking for documents.
Do you have something that shows that you've been here for more than 30 days?
They took the man who told me he had been renting for 2 days out in handcuffs.
They got one out.
And escorted the other guy off the property.
Now you're afraid to come out.
I'm not coming out. This house is empty. This is my home. My locksmith is on the corner waiting to change my locks. And that's not fair. It's not fair that I, as the homeowner, should be having to go through this.
How you doing?
Now she has to stage herself right and inside the house and cannot even walk out to even, just take a breath of fresh air. She has to plant herself in there so she can make these changes.
Minutes later, a locksmith showed up, but police gave her a warning before they left.
I may end up in handcuffs today if this man shows up here and says that I have illegally evicted him. I said to them, let him take me to court the way I've been told to take him to court. But today, I'm not leaving my house.
Less than 10 minutes after police left and the locks were changed.
Whoa.
The man who
Wow, this guy's like ready to fight her. This is crazy. This is crazy.
claims to be the one actually leasing the house shows up.
Call the police again.
With the other guy, police took off the property.
She has to like literally fight men. And she should never be doing this by herself. Does she not have brothers? Okay, so she doesn't. Obviously, if she did, they would be there. But dang, she doesn't know anybody else.
Property.
Do you see this? This guy just literally broke down my door, broke through myself and my daughter to get in here. This guy just forced himself into my house.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did
And
not.
so did you.
What this guy, then his trash can, it's all dirty and everything. Oh my God.
You broke through the front door.
Officer.
The man called the police on her.
So why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
They consider this a landlord-tenant issue. And by law, it has to be handled through the housing court, not with police.
If you own this house, you would not want her inside.
I don't own this.
Exactly,
Yes.
she does.
Yes, but then once again, you should know how.
This guy's on drugs, allegedly, in my opinion, walking up in somebody's house and making demands. What is this dystopian timeline that we are in?
the law works.
I do know how it works.
There's rules to the. As you got to go to court and send me to civil court.
He says he signed a lease in October, but wouldn't tell us with who.
I got proof longer than that.
Show us the proof.
But who are you for me to show? I showed it to cops.
Dan with Channel 7 News. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it.
Proof. Come here, brother. I like that.
I would like to see it.
He didn't show me a lease.
This is a bill.
A bill for work he says he had done to the house. He didn't show police a lease either.
The police department doesn't have the lease?
No.
He's got no documentation.
Just bills.
So Adele, you're getting arrested right now?
Being arrested.
For what?
What? So he didn't even have a lease. Oh my God, y'all. This is really happening.
What?
I thought, yo, man, I hate, look, man, cops is something else. Like, these new cops too, they don't really serve the Constitution. You know what I mean? Like they don't uphold the Constitution. There's something feels really wrong with this. And I just don't think I could go through with these orders. I just could not do it today. This is insane.
For being
in my own home.
And where's your lease?
She's fighting the house. It's not her house anymore.
My deed
That's
is
what was
current
told
and
her.
legal.
Father God, he said, it's not her house anymore. Then he gets to be vindicated while this woman is walking out in cuffs and these fools are walking her out in cuffs.
Arrested for unlawful eviction. She changed the locks on a man who claims he lives there.
So how does this all end then? When do you leave?
The way it ends is either she pays me my money that I put into the house, pay me the money, and I'll leave, or send me to court, and we deal with the judge in court. It's that simple.
Wow. So he just walked in, took her house, and is giving her the demands. There are people really reacting to the squatters thing. We got Tim Pool again, who is saying, draw up a lease for your daughter from the time you acquired the house. Have your daughter call cops claiming the actual squatters evicted her and changed the locks. Cops arrest squatters for unlawful eviction. Look at all of this, shucking and jiving that you have to do just to keep your own property. This is insane. This is insane. And can you imagine the parents? I know they had to work hard to buy that house for their American dream, then proud to leave this property back for their children or their child, only for this to be happening today. They could have never foreseen in the future. Not saying that they shouldn't have did any of that. They did the right thing. But who would have ever thought we would be living in a time where things like this happen and this is normal? Then Tim Pool says again, back the blue. He's saying like this is wrong. And as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, when you go here, And you look because, yep, squatters is trending. And so we'll see how other people reacted to this. I mean, what else is there to say? And Wokeness said New York City homeowners arrested for changing the locks of her home to kick out squatters who broke in. You know, in New York, people, well, we talked about the 30 days and we talked about who she is. Colin Rugg is obviously reporting on it. During the news segment, Andalar was arrested. Absolute insanity, yeah. We also have Eric Mahaney. In New York, you have no rights. In New York City, you have no rights. You have no rights to self-defense, or defense of others. Yeah. And if you own $1 million property, you must be the oppressor and required to let squatters live on your land rent-free. And if you try to evict, jail. This is insane. I mean, everybody really is talking about this. I mean, there's just, I mean, like, what, and Frank, quite frankly, says squatters don't have rights. I mean, you would think that it would be that simple, right? And let's see, this person says, Pine Barron says, being an NYPD cop is such an insane position now. You work for hysterical communists, yup, but their core constituency hates you. You're arresting families who try to get rid of squatters or military vets who defend people from violent schizophrenics. And your reward is getting beat up by illegal immigrants or firebombed by Antifa radicals, neither of whom will face any meaningful criminal charges. So then the whole point is then to get people not to be cops, and then you're not going to have, you know what I mean, any kind of protection out here for people. This is and I'm not sharing his thing. This is absolutely crazy. I'm sorry this happened to this woman. But it's not just her. This is happening. This is what's happening to the American citizen. Okay? And we need to pay attention to this. This is not a one-time thing. This is how the law works over there in New York, and I'm sure other places. Probably where I live is like this too.